Hey guys, welcome back. So while my channel is focused on real estate investing and property investing to achieve the elusive financial freedom, I think just financial intelligence and personal finance are super important to achieve those. And if you don't have those, no matter what your business is in, whether it's real estate or whether you choose to invest or pursue different avenues, you're not going to be successful. So I want to take the time to start like a new avenue on my channel where I kind of talk through my own experience with personal finance and how I develop financial intelligence, because it wasn't something, it's not something you're born with. It's something that if you're not taught in the home, you do have to teach yourself. So I wanted to share as much as I can with you guys to hopefully either help you on your way to achieving financial freedom, whether it's through real estate and property, or you might just need it to achieve different financial goals in your life. So today I wanted to talk through one of the things I do on the side to make additional income, and that is reselling clothes, mainly on Poshmark. So I've made over $1,000 just on Poshmark alone, but I also use apps like Depop, and then I also use eBay as well to resell clothes. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you the screenshot of my Poshmark account. Like I said earlier, no matter what your financial goals are, making side income, especially in ways that don't require you getting a side job or having to depend on someone else's schedule, is always a great thing. So it's something I'm definitely an advocate of, and I've been fairly successful with it. So I just want to share my tips and tricks to making a lot of money on Poshmark. So I started actually on Poshmark back in 2013. I posted a few things and I made a few dollars here and there, but I really didn't start taking it seriously until the last couple years. Again, I've been busy lately, so I've been kind of slacking on it. But in the past 2 years is where I've made the bulk of my money. And I've learned a lot, again, over the past few years that I definitely want to share with you guys. So without further ado, let's jump into what I find are the most helpful hacks to help you make as much money as possible. The first one is that you need to get organized, especially if you're about to post a lot. It does take a lot more time than you think. So I would say even before you're ready to post everything, make sure all of your clothes are washed, make sure that they're as wrinkle free as possible, and make sure you're setting yourself up with some good lighting to take those pictures. I say I prefer natural light, and I think the things that I have with natural light sell the fastest. So again, set like a few hours on a weekend or whenever you have time to just sit there and basically knock out all of your pictures at once. Have a good backdrop, whether you have your clothes hung up and against a wall or on your carpet, or putting some sort of backdrop, whether it's like a piece of gift wrap or a accent blanket, and put your clothes on top of that so everything has a very consistent look and feel and your background isn't distracting in your pictures. I know we're focusing on Poshmark, but to get some inspiration, you should look at sites like Depop. Depop came out later than Poshmark, and it definitely has an audience that's a lot younger. The pictures are more like Instagram-y. They're a little bit more staged, but they're also a lot more creative, and I feel like a lot of people on Poshmark aren't doing what's done on Depop. And if you take those learnings and apply them to Poshmark, you'll think your things will sell a lot easier. So again, I would say just knock out all of your pictures at one time, especially if you're uploading a lot of clothes at once. It just makes it a lot easier. It makes the process a lot more efficient. A hack is to use the square option on your phone camera because Poshmark does want the pictures to be square. You don't want to take all these pictures and then realize half of your clothing doesn't even fit in the picture, because then you'd have to retake them all again. Again, you're going to want to upload multiple pictures for each of your posts. So make sure that there's a picture that shows the whole outfit. Essentially get the whole piece of clothing in one shot. Maybe flip it over to get the back side if the back has a lot of detailing or is very different from the front. Make sure you get a picture of the tag just so people can see the true sizing. And you also want to take pictures of any imperfections, any stains, any tears, any rips, any pulls, which sounds counterintuitive because you're trying to sell, but you also want to make sure you're being trustworthy. And people who buy from you can actually report you and send things back if your pictures are misleading and they don't capture any damage or anything like that. And then you have a lot of canceled sales, and Poshmark can even take action to suspend your account if you're being super misleading and scammy. I think it always pays to be honest. People will still buy things with imperfections. I've had a number of items that were higher priced items and that sold for a little bit of a discount because they had like a pull or a little stain or a little tear somewhere or missing a tag, and people will still give you 5-star reviews just because you're being honest. So after you have the pictures of everything you want, upload your pictures, and then also make your description as detailed as possible. This is also somewhere else that you want to be super honest. Make sure to call out those imperfections. I sometimes say, you know, there's a little stain here. You can see it in, you know, the 4th picture that I posted. You just want to make the experience as easy as possible for the person who's browsing, and you want them to come with the least amount of questions as possible. The more back and forth there are, there's less chance of them buying. So you want to provide all that information up front. So that includes, again, they give you all these categories to fill out, but again, anywhere you can add measurements or any other details that you may want the person to know, be sure to add them in the description. So now you have like the best pictures and really great descriptions, but if you don't have a following on the account or you're not following anyone, you're getting very minimal exposure for the things that you posted. This is where I say just go crazy with like following people. Like I try to follow people that wear similar sizes to me and similar brands. And what they do is that they follow back. This isn't like Instagram or some sort of social media account where it's a popularity contest and you want to not be following a lot of people. I think following as many people as possible is actually a really great strategy because a lot of them will follow you back and a lot of people will share your content as well. This does take some time. I think I'm following like 7,000 people. And again, I've had my account since like 2013. So it's been a process for sure, but it really definitely helps. Even if you make a note just to go on and like follow like 20 people a day, it will definitely add up and you will see a lot more people follow you than you follow eventually, especially if you have good content. Beyond following, you also want to make sure that you share. So this is for 2 reasons. Poshmark actually rewards you for sharing not only your own content, but other people in the community content, aka people in the feed, just people that aren't you, their posts as well. Both of them are criteria for the Posh ambassador status, essentially, where you get a lot more benefits through Poshmark, but you also want to do it because it just gets so much exposure to your stuff. People who didn't see your post the day that you posted it, you want to get it back in front of their eyes by sharing it, you know, even daily. I don't think is a bad thing. Again, Poshmark is very different than a social media account. Like it's okay to keep sharing your content. It's okay to keep sharing other people's content. And what they do is that they usually return the favor and will share your stuff back to their audience who hasn't seen your stuff before. The goal is just to get as many eyes on your posts as possible because it just increases the chance that someone's going to buy. And no matter how detailed you are with your descriptions and how clear the photos are, people will still have questions. So make sure that you're responding to them as quick as possible. I say within the day so that they haven't moved on to something else. And make sure that you're nice and polite as well. I've seen people just be rude and then like obviously that buyer just doesn't respond because they don't want to have to deal with that. Like being rude to a potential customer is never a good business practice, like no matter what you're doing. So you have a lot of clothing posted, you're growing your following, you're sharing a lot, and finally someone buys something that you have. Your packaging and shipping process also is a big deal, so I would say don't slack on this either. For packaging and shipping, there's just a lot of areas that you can optimize to keep your costs as low as possible because the point obviously is to keep as much money in your own pocket as you can. One way I do this is actually buying shipping bags in bulk so that I'm not buying a singular bag every time I go to the post office. And this keeps my shipping costs as low as possible. I actually use like a standard like shipping bag like this, and this size is really great because it fits pretty much every piece of clothing besides like a shoebox or like really big jackets. Those are like the only things probably won't fit in here, but other than that, these are super versatile. They're super lightweight, and I actually put the link to purchase below in the description because you can just buy them off Amazon and get them shipped to your house like as quickly as possible. Another really good thing is just to make sure that you're shipping as fast as possible. Again, this is something that Poshmark will reward you for. You want to keep your shipping time under 3 days or else you won't be able to achieve that Posh ambassador status. It's okay if like you mess up once, but it does take the average of all of them. So if there's a lot of times that you've taken more than 3 days to ship, it's going to be really hard to get that number back under 3 days later on when becoming a Posh ambassador, if that's more important to you. Another thing is to make sure that you're using the actual post office, which is the shipping provider for Poshmark. They bundle in shipping into your purchase price and they provide that shipping label. But again, you want to make sure that you're actually dropping off at the post office and getting that tracking receipt. So if something does go wrong, you're able to provide proof. This actually happened to me a couple times. There was one time around Christmas that instead of dropping it off at a USPS, I dropped it off at a UPS, and they can't provide tracking receipts there. but I just trusted them to send it out, as I've done a couple times. But this instance, I think it was because it was the holidays and they had so many things, it actually never got scanned by USPS. And because I didn't have any type of receipt or proof, they actually dinged my account and the buyer was allowed to cancel with no repercussions, and I never got that item back. Good thing it wasn't like a super high price item. It was like probably like $12 or something. But if that had been more expensive, that would have been a big loss to me. So now, just to be safe, I always use the post office and I always get a receipt from them with that tracking number. So if there are any questions or if it does get lost in the mail, I can provide that to Poshmark and then they won't penalize me for it. And I think the most important thing when it comes to Poshmark is to make sure that you're being consistent and you're being patient. You may not make your first sale overnight. I think it took me 2 months before I made my first sale. Again, this was back in like 2013. But once I did, things started coming in slowly but surely. And it's definitely ramped up. There will be times that I wake up in the morning and I will see overnight that I've sold like 3 or 4 things, which is always a great feeling. Now that I've built up a following, I can be a little bit more passive with it. I don't check in on it as much. Again, I can be more involved if I want to. I just haven't had the time and it doesn't really bother me as much. And it does add up. I've actually used a portion of the money that I made between Poshmark, Depop, and eBay, and I actually use that towards some of the down payment that I put on my first house. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button below and comment below if you have any questions on the process. I love talking about stuff like this, so definitely want to help where I can. And if you're interested in money-making topics, please don't forget to subscribe as well. Thanks, guys.